Welcome to Gardening with the Gardeners, a podcast where we discuss our favorite plants, gardens, landscape design, and all things horticulture, with a touch of our crazy homestead lifestyle thrown in.
I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Boone Gardner, a horticulturalist, landscape designer, and fourth-generation operator of Boone Gardner Landscape.
And I'm Hope Gardner, Matt's wife, a horticulturalist with our local county extension office, as well as a landscape designer with a family business. And together, we make up Gardening with the Gardeners. Alrighty, it is our 17th episode.
17th episode.
Yay! It's so exciting. This is getting fun.
I think you said that last time.
And it just keeps getting more fun and more fun. So it has been a crazy week.
Yeah, we're a little worn out already. It's only Monday.
And I know.
I think that's all the weeks are kind of running into each other.
Spring is here.
Yeah.
Finally.
We're trying to get a quick podcast recording in before dinner, and here we are. So
yes.
I guess update, we had a crazy storm that last
Saturday night,
yes. Yeah.
So we took your mom out for her 91st birthday.
91st birthday.
And we could see this dark cloud behind us, but we just barely made it into this restaurant.
We were walking into the restaurant
and then all of a sudden it started.
Yeah.
And so the nice thing is we were inside and didn't really know what was going on. Had a great dinner with her, and then we came home, and it really wasn't until we got home that we noticed how much damage and just washout.
Wasn't there another wave that came through or something maybe? Is that what it was? Because I can't remember anyhow, but we woke up the next day because we really didn't see the branch down.
We did see it.
We did see it down that night.
We did see it down that night.
Our pear tree, we have inherited a pear tree at this house that normally you and I are not big fans of pear trees.
No, I'm a very anti-pear.
But it's actually been a good tree. But like all pears, it loses limbs during bad storms.
So the crazy thing is, when these were really popular back in the 80s, 90s,
yeah, 80s and stuff.
They got to be about 10 years old. And once they get about 10 years old, that's when they start getting really brittle.
Particularly Bradford pears.
Oh, yes.
This is an aristocrat, so that's why it's a little bit better.
Well, and I mean, this is probably the biggest pear
it's a big
aristocrat that I've ever seen.
Huge. It's huge.
So if you were to tell me it was 20, 25 years old, I would definitely agree without a problem. But it has, since we've been here 10 years, it has started to show some signs, and of that.
Losing a limb here, a limb there.
Yeah. So we're getting close to having to take it out.
But it somehow avoided the house and avoided it really didn't hit the fence, and then it went right over top of the koi pond, your goldfish pond. The koi pond's in the back. Yeah, this is the koi pond.
Yeah. So, and we've been telling our daughter not to park right there in the driveway because of the potential of these branches coming down, and I think it really showed her firsthand why we are, keep saying don't leave your car right there.
Well, the maple took up my sunroof of my
that's true
truck
too.
one year.
Yeah. So
we had
we're getting close to having to take that out, and I'm bittersweet. It does provide great shade. Like I said, it is a huge tree, but pears are definitely invasive. It's not a tree that would even be on my list of trees to plant, let alone my top favorites. So it does need to come out. It's getting closer and closer to that.
So we had that excitement.
Yeah, that was Saturday night.
Lots of washout, erosion, things like that to deal with. It's always something to deal with on the farm. But, and sometimes new landscapes have to remind people, unless it's a reoccurring problem. But you have storms, and sometimes things just wash out in certain areas, and you have water where you didn't normally have water or whatever.
Well, and I think this storm, the rain came down so fast that we had
a path washout that doesn't
that never washes out.
So
it was a huge amount in a very short amount of time. And so that's unusual. Now, if it's, one of those areas that, every time it rains, reoccurring damage, reoccurring washout, whatever.
Then you think about
that probably does need to be addressed. But in these, especially spring storms.
Sometimes things happen. It's
they
just
do.
part of it.
Mother Nature can be very angry and throw a lot of water at us in a short amount of time.
Yep.
So...
But I think that probably what caused our little friend on Sunday morning.
Oh, yes.
We were having coffee and tea, and the dog, Amelia, started growling at the dining room window. And
she was having a fit.
You walked over there, and then you said, Matt, come over here, hurry.
There was one of the bigger snapping turtles.
Not the biggest we've had, but a big one.
I mean,
that's a good size. It was
top three.
Yeah, it was a big snapping turtle on our patio. our paper patio.
Yeah, real close to the house, which I'm like, why is it here? There's no reason for it to be
But it's in
on the
the English
patio.
garden, and there's a koi pond back there, and so anyhow, but yeah, funny story.
Yeah, so you had to grab
I
it,
ran
carry
out
it
there.
all the way down to the creek.
Yeah, carried them all the way down to our lower pasture to the creek, and put them basically in the creek, and thought we were good. And then later that afternoon, we saw it could be a partner, it could be the same one. We're not sure, but there's
I
one.
think it was bigger.
I think it is too, honestly. But there's one in the actual koi pond now, and that's not a good thing because
No.
it's gonna be. So we're gonna try to have to figure out how to get that guy.
And I can promise you one thing. I am not cooking turtle soup.
Yeah.
So he needs to find another place to live.
You had excitement in the chicken coop with
Yes.
baby chicks.
We had baby chicks born. Not that we really need more chickens, but yeah, we had
You had some hens that get broody, and then you kind of let them do
yes.
it. And
Well, and it was funny because the one that I was really watching, she decided to get up and just leave. The one that I was not suspecting, she's sitting there every once in a while. I'd see her, but then not like every single time. And all of a sudden, she has 4 baby chicks. So that was exciting, and they're so cute.
yeah, really cute. It's amazing how fast they learn to get out, and because they were out of the coop and run around.
Yes.
We had to be careful that they were be sure and get back and forth from the fence and back into the herd.
We did kind of have to work on the ramp that goes from the chicken coop to the chicken yard. But yeah, so that's been really fun.
And then we went to your mom and dad's for dinner on Sunday and had to chase our son had to chase a groundhog out of his garage. So it's just
Why?
there's critters and things everywhere.
It's spring. Everybody's on the move.
I've never heard of a groundhog going in this is a finished garage with a concrete floor and a
There's
house.
no cat
and
food in there.
Yeah, nothing.
There's no dog food in there.
I don't know
So
why. I think Macy, their dog, scared it and chased it in there probably.
yeah, so this weekend, I mean, we have just
So lots of animals, lots of craziness.
yeah.
Things are blooming, obviously.
Oh my goodness.
You still
I
a few-
have the most delicious strawberries that we've been harvesting.
hence the inspiration for this
Yes,
episode
exactly.
podcast.
And even though I have amazing raspberries, we probably are not going to do raspberries next week. But raspberries have started coming in too. And then today, I also harvested garlic scapes.
Garlic scapes. You might want to tell people what garlic scapes are.
So with some of the garlic, it will produce kind of a stem with a flower bud at the end. And really, you don't want them to do that because you don't want the energy for the flower to be taken away from the production of the bulbs under the ground, because that's what garlic is that we need.
Yeah, that's what you're
we
eating.
want. So you just go through and you can harvest, and you actually get a kind of a first crop off of the garlic as your garlic scapes. You can saute those. You can make pesto with them. You can chop
They're a little
them
milder
up.
than the garlic itself.
It is. It's
Kind
a
of
little
like
bit
a cross
milder.
between an onion and garlic. Yeah.
So what I will probably do is chop those up in probably 1.5-inch little sections. Stick them on parchment paper on a cookie sheet. Stick them in the freezer for about an hour so that they freeze individually, not in one big clump. And then put those in a freezer bag. Store them in the freezer so that whenever we want, that fresh garlic flavor, I can just pull those out really easily. So that's kind of the first crop you get off of garlic, and then you'll harvest it in like July, when the bulbs are ready. So yeah, that was exciting. I got that done. Started planting some of my cut flowers. Got the beds ready for.
We finally got you some more
for
soil
the
in them.
dahlias. They're getting ready to go in probably this coming week if it's not raining.
Stopped with one of your friends and for sales and picked up more dahlias.
I know. I did. I got 2 amazing varieties. They're the Australian variety, so they're really a neat, kind of not on the market, the general market around here. So a nice little collector's item, kind of what we call unicorns. I got 2 unicorns. Yay.
Unicorns. Only dahlia collectors.
I know. So I was very, very excited, and I thank Lauren very much for that. So yeah, I mean, we've had a really big weekend.
Crane had his first week back working on the landscape cruise, and
It's nice to have him home.
yes, it was great.
So he'll be the 5th generation, and he's already out. He was a crew leader today.
He was.
He's taken over.
There you go. The guys are doing great and getting a lot of jobs done, and yeah, we're staying busy, so it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, this is funny talk about strawberries because you think about it. This is like a another one of your favorites as far as food, especially as growing up, your birthday dinner was always,
Strawberry birthday cake.
well, lasagna first.
Yes, that was dinner.
So everybody's, and then you have strawberry birthday cake every year.
So I think my mom first fixed me a strawberry birthday cake when I was about 6. And
Every year
had
since then.
every single year. Well, I take it back. She did not make me one for my 21st birthday, and I was appalled.
You were
She has
upset.
not made that mistake again. She has even given the recipe to my sister-in-law and to Matt. So if there's ever a time where she cannot make me a strawberry birthday cake, I have backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So strawberries are an easy crop to grow for the most part, wouldn't you say?
Yes,
They're
they
not
can be.
fairly-
They've got a couple little challenges.
Little
but
challenges.
Overall, they can be, a really good, reliable, kind of a perennial crop. They come back year after year, so that is very nice.
They're an easy plant for us in our zone here in Louisville.
Yes,
Oldham County,
our
yeah.
zone is very compatible to their natural growing habits,
Yeah.
which is nice. So my friend Natalie gave me some plants from her garden, so she has shared last year, and we are definitely benefiting from that.
Is that where the original ones came from?
Yeah.
But then you got more.
So she gave me some more this fall, or I'm
Because
sorry,
you've got
this
a good
spring.
little patch out there that's producing really well. In
Yes.
fact, it helps bringing in strawberries
Every day.
Yeah. And
And then she gave me enough that I'm going to probably double the size planting of strawberries that we have because I keep eating those before they even get into the house.
so before we start talking about planting strawberries and those kind of things, probably nice to talk about maybe this little deeper of the story.
Well, they've got such a neat story that I don't really think I fully knew before we started doing research on this.
Exactly. I mean, the strawberries that we grow today are known as Fragaria X ananassa. And of course, that X in the title of the name means, it's a hybrid species. So it's not something that originally existed in the wild.
No.
But they did. They got a little bit of native wild roots, and they have the cultivated part history too. So
Well, it's neat when you start looking at, the varieties or the genus that the species, I'm sorry. The species that is native to North America, and then the ones that they crossed with, I guess, were the ones from like the Pacific regions. And then they came up with this brand new strawberry, and that's what does so well here.
exactly. Well, before you could say that though, the strawberries belong to the rose family, which is an interesting little fact. So they're
Yeah, that's probably something that I
most
didn't
people don't
notice.
think about. But the Rosaceae family
Yes.
is so it's strawberries, apples, cherries, peaches, and obviously roses, among many other plants.
So I think it's a good time right now to just kind of put in, just as a little side note, when the taxonomists decide what is related to, what plant is related to another one, the way that they do that, or one of the big points that they look at, is actually the blooms. And if you look at the bloom of a strawberry, along with the bloom of like an apple or a peach, and then you look at
Wild roses.
the
in
wild
particular.
roses,
Yep.
not our hybrid
the
teas.
hybrids.
No, but the ones that are the wild roses and how
look
they open up.
Very similar.
They are really similar. So that is why we say that they are all in the same family. Because if you think about, a hybrid tea does not look anything like a strawberry. But it's that wild rose and the way that bloom structure is and how similar it is to the others. So I think it's important to know, for people to understand that it's really the bloom structure that, and that reproductive structure that is how or what relates these plants together.
At least traditionally. Sometimes they
Yes.
start getting into chromosome count. and all other stuff.
Oh, well, that gets a little crazy.
So within that family, they sit in the genus Fragaria, as we said, which includes about 20 wild species found across the northern hemisphere and parts of South America. Little sidebar. So as a kid growing up, you'd probably always, and even now as an adult, obviously you see wild strawberries growing in our lawn sometimes, or sometimes a nuisance kind of weed. And there is a native wild strawberry within Kentucky that's it's perfectly edible,
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes can be quite delicious.
Got a good flavor.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you're not getting a contaminated area, either where dogs or pesticides or things like that have been.
Well, and then
But then there's also the thing to watch out for, which it's not poisonous, because that was always a thing too. I remember like some people would say, "Oh, don't eat those; they're poisonous." Like people that are scared of them. But all those native strawberries are perfectly edible, and then even the mock strawberry, which isn't a true strawberry at all, It's a potentilla, which is
Yes.
interesting because that's a landscape plant, but it's obviously not that.
Well, but I think that's where people think, oh, that's a wild strawberry, but it doesn't have the flavor.
And actually, if you look at it, it's a little bumpier and different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different type of fruit structure, which we're going to get into more about that here shortly. But but even if you eat those aren't poisonous either. Because I remember tons of people saying, "Don't eat those things; they're poisonous," but they're
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
they're they don't have the flavor. They're not as sweet as the strawberries, and they don't have the nutritional value either as
Right.
much. So,
And their leaves look more like a mint leaf than it
yes.
does an actual strawberry leaf.
And once you see that, you can kind of tell. Like that kind
Yeah.
of helps.
So just keep an
And
eye
the
out.
flowers are a little bit different. I think they're actually more of a yellow flower, where the all strawberries kind of have that typical white flower with the
White.
yellow center.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, like we said, it's a wide. The species involved in a wide range of environments. From mountain meadows to coastal dunes, which is one reason strawberries are so adapt to our gardens and our homes.
Yes. Yes. And it was probably in the early 1700s that the two species ended up in Europe. I guess they crossed.
Well, you mentioned that those two, the one native to, I think you mentioned it just a little bit ago,
Uh-huh.
native North America, including Kentucky. That would be the Fragaria virginiana, which we talked about, and then the native to Chile in Pacific coastal regions would be the Fragaria chiloensis.
Yes.
And those two got crossed, like you said, or they were growing close to each other in northern Europe, and then especially in France, and then they naturally cross-pollinated, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, because we think, I guess as horticulturalists, we think about how we cross plant breeds so often. And then we sometimes forget that sometimes that can actually happen just in nature
Yeah.
on its own. And so that was really cool. But I mean, it was early, like in the 1700s.
Yeah, so they naturally
They
cross-pollinated.
naturally cross. And then that's where we kind of get that strawberry that we are accustomed
Yeah,
to.
that accidental hybrid combined the size and the flavor because one was kind of a larger fruit and one was more of a sweet fruit. And that's what became our Fragaria X ananassa and the foundation for all modern strawberries.
Now, I have to put a little side note in here. When I was harvesting strawberries this afternoon, our son Crane came out and was talking to me. And I was like, hey, do you want a strawberry? And he was like, oh my gosh, that's like the best strawberry he's ever eaten. And so
They taste way different than those
it
big.
is so different than the strawberries that you get in the grocery store.
Yeah, the ones at the grocery store, they're beautiful, but they're on steroids and they're like so big and they're basically all water. But the little bitty ones are so sweet and delicious that you have.
Well, we had some big ones in
You
the
did
garden.
have some big ones, but
And I
not compared to
think-
those ones that you get
Oh,
for
no, not in the
Valentine's
store.
Days.
So when you cut the ones in the stores, when that center of it is all white,
Yes,
it has no flavor.
none.
The strawberries that we have out here in the garden, when you cut them in half, they are just as red on the inside
way through.
as they are on the outside. And that's
Absolutely.
where all that sweet flavor comes from. And so if you have only had store-bought strawberries, or even if you've had just like mass production, big strawberry farms like down in Florida or whatever, those are not going to have the same flavor as a backyard homegrown strawberry.
Exactly.
And I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about the growing conditions and everything that you have to have. But even if you just get a few plants and try a homegrown strawberry next year, oh my gosh, it's so worth it.
Absolutely.
And then you'll know why I love strawberry and strawberry cake so much.
And we talked about evolution probably good enough. I don't think we need to go into the chromosomes and try to explain that without graphics. That might be kind of tricky.
It is, but I think it is
Diploid versus
interesting to
octoploid.
know that they're an octoploid, which is that they have 8 sets of chromosomes, and that's one reason why they are so adaptable. They have so much, variety of flavors and colors, and the breeding potential of them. So that's one thing that it's not important to know, but it's just an
It's
interesting tidbit
Absolutely.
to know.
Absolutely. So you talked about that fruit, and the fruit really isn't what you think. I mean, you're not. I'm saying people in general.
Yes,
Botanically, strawberries are kind of unusual. So
very.
That red fleshy part that we eat isn't technically a fruit. It's an enlarged receptacle. But I don't think they would sell very many. They
No.
just call them enlarged receptacles.
That kind of sounds a little sketchy.
That sounds not very pleasant, yeah. But the tiny seeds on the outside, but actually each one of those is its own fruit called an achene. Achene.
Yes.
But they're actually, they're not a true berry. They're not a berry at all, really.
Did you know that strawberries don't ripen after picking? And poor pollination will actually lead to those misshapen berries. So pollination is really, really important.
The bees love them.
They do. But they're actually very, very delicate naturally, and they're prone to bruising very easily. So I think that's why when you get a lot of these from the store, they're bred so that they don't bruise as easily. And unfortunately, that's where you lose your flavor.
That is true. The ones you grow at home are much more delicate. They really are.
You got to eat them quick.
Eat them. Yeah. They go bad really fast. Unfortunately. Native roots in early use, long before the modern strawberries existed, the wild strawberries we talked about, especially the Fragaria virginiana, they were widely used by indigenous people across North America. They're eaten fresh, dried, and incorporated into foods like cornmeal breads. Sounds a lot like what we do today. So
Yes.
there's an early strawberry cake for you, the cornmeal bread.
Cornmeal bread. It was the European settlers that actually adopted them very quickly, and by the 1800s, intentionally
Started breeding them.
crossbreeding was going on to get the bigger, the better flavors and things like that to make them a larger plant.
And as we said, today's strawberries are the results of like natural hybridization, selective breeding, and generations of improvement. So a lot of those, the modern varieties still carry trace from the ancestors of the flavor from the Fragaria virginiana, but the size from the Fragaria chilonensis, and resilience from centuries of evolution.
So now that we understand kind of where they come from, let's talk about how they actually grow.
Okay.
So they are a very low growing perennial. We talked about how they come back year after year. So strawberries actually grow from a central crown, and that makes that one plant. And then after they bloom and they are ready to start kind of growing, they will spread using runners or stolons.
Yep, stolons.
And these are kind of above ground roots that will run and then develop a new plant. So you can actually share with friends by digging up these small plants on the ends of
plants that come off of them.
off the stolons.
Yeah, it's really cool. So there are three main types of strawberries. The June bearing, which is one large crop in late spring.
Yes.
The ever bearing, which is 2 to 3 harvest. And then day neutral is continuous production.
Yes. So the day neutral, they're going to be smaller berries, but they're going to continue for a longer period of time.
Gotcha.
There are some varieties that do really well here in Louisville. So if you're actually going to go out and go ahead and buy some strawberries or get ready to order them for next year, Everglow is a really excellent flavor, and it's an early harvest. And I'm sure I've got some
Early glow.
Early Glow.
Yeah.
What did I'm so sorry.
Everglow, but it's very close.
It is. It is. Early Glow. And it does have an early harvest. And they've got a great flavor. So I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the varieties that we have out there. And then Chandler, that's another one that we've had in the past. And they're a larger berry. And they're really good for that, that real fresh eating. But that's another one. All Star is one that we've had in the past, and they're great for disease resistance. And they're really a dependable, it's an all-star.
Albion.
Albion is kind of that day neutral, so it's going to produce for a much longer season. And then Seascape is another one that's just kind of an all-season producer. So they do best probably in a hill system. One of the things I think is probably the most important, that I think about with growing strawberries is having like a mulch. And right now, the mulch that we used last fall was just a good straw, but it keeps the berries up off the ground so that they dry out earlier in the during the day. Because when you have that dew that just naturally settles down on them, when they get wet,
Those fruits can rot.
They do rot very quickly. Also, slugs do like them, so you want to kind of keep them off or just kind of discourage the slugs. But you do want like a full sun area. You want it to be very well drained because, like I said, you don't want them to be very moist. They'll kind of rot quickly. They do kind of also prefer a more acidic pH. So like with extension, we always say, get your soil tested before you plant. So that way if you need to amend it, just to get a little bit acidic pH there.
We talked about planting early spring.
Yes.
March to April.
Yes.
Fall planting is possible.
It is. And the ones that we have now were fall planted. So you just want to plant them early enough in the fall that you can get some root establishment before winter. They may look kind of like they're dead over winter,
Hmm.
but just wait because remember that crown that they grow from. As long as that doesn't freeze, it will grow back from the crown.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for planting, obviously, I'm planting about 12, 18 inches apart.
Yeah, give them some room to grow.
Yeah. Then keep the crowns at soil level. It's very important. This is where we had a little diagram we'd show you, but like you don't want to plant them too deep. That one
So
little,
you're going to be able to tell the crown
yeah,
what we're talking about if you order them in. So obviously you know where the roots are going to be growing down, and then that crown is right on top of the roots. You don't want to get that crown too
if you
far
bury
down
it,
in the
it'll
ground.
rot out and just not
It
do
will,
well.
and that's the one of the reasons that you have to be so careful. It's just well drained. You don't want them to rot,
Yeah.
and that hill system helps them better
The
drainage.
hill system or raised beds, especially in our area with our heavy soils, is a good way of dealing with that. And obviously, like any planting, water thoroughly after you first plant them, and then
Of course,
keep
yeah.
watering because they're heavy. They use a lot of water to obviously produce those fruits.
Well, that fruit is very juicy.
There's a lot of water content in them. Yeah.
They do. They need about an inch of water a week.
Hmm.
Drip irrigation is best because it goes right to where that plant needs the water,
Well, and a
and
lot
it
of
doesn't keep it soaked the whole area.
exactly, and a lot of homeowners have kind of adopted the commercial methods where they put down the weed fabric, cut out a little area for the plant, put that in there, then put the drip irrigation on there,
Yes,
and then put their straw on top of that, so it's all clean and like really like nice. But
exactly. Yes, and you do want to do a light feeding in the spring, but just make sure that you don't overdo that nitrogen because
oh, for
remember,
fertilizing,
yes, um, you want flowers. You don't want a whole bunch of leaves. So if you do a whole lot of nitrogen fertilizer, you're going to get a lot more leaves than you are flowers. So don't overdo that nitrogen.
so those runners or stolons we talked about
Uh huh.
is that it's what people think of like it's not a vine, but it's the vine part of the strawberry. It shoots out and then eventually becomes another plant. So for the Juneberry ones, you can allow some spreading
Yes.
and actually get more of a crop that way. Those day neutrals, you're trying to get you want to actually remove some of those runners for better fruiting, right?
Well, because those runners are going to take the energy away from the plant.
Exactly.
And because those day neutrals, they have a longer production time, you want to take those off so that it's still producing fruit and not producing the runners.
Yes.
And we kind of talked about, the reason that you want to use a mulch around them is also just to kind of help keep the slugs away.
The slugs
Those
really
can be a really big problem.
they probably like strawberries even more than like hostas,
I think you might be right.
which that sugar content.
Which,
I don't blame them.
yeah, I sure do.
And I think this next one's funny because we always talk about. I mean, obviously birds love them, and
Yes.
especially for us, our big colored
Peacocks.
birds are a real problem.
Yeah, so I did fence the strawberries off where they cannot walk through the
That's
strawberry
made a
patch.
big difference.
It has because, well, I mean, I think everybody's heard me say how much I fight them, the peacocks, because they will pull blooms off.
Oh yeah, they'll pull blooms off. They'll grab the strawberry. They'll just peck it, or yeah,
Yes. And I'll share, but eat the whole strawberry. Just don't pick a hole in it and move over to the next
that's
one.
the problem. And that's kind of what the slugs do too. They'll eat
They
it, make it
do.
look really unattractive, and you're like, I don't want to eat after a slug because it's like
No.
nasty. Yeah, it's like
Well, and then, even just regular, songbirds, any birds will come through, and that's what they do. They see that bright red color, they'll just do it one peck, and then,
Put a
maybe
hole in it.
two, and then they'll move on to the next one. And I'm like, no, I will share, but eat the whole thing.
yeah,
So if watering is a problem, you can also get kind of a gray mold,
yeah. That's
and then leaf spot diseases. So that's why, that well drained, make sure they're in full sun.
spacing,
Spacing, yes, so that air can move through them.
airflow.
Full sun so that the sunlight will naturally dry off the plant
And then the mulch.
and mulch them. Yeah.
Mulching's key.
So, yeah, that sounds great.
So the favorite part, harvesting them.
Oh, harvest them when they're fully red. It's, depending on how large your strawberry patch is, how well it's doing, you might be able to get away with harvesting every like 2 to 3 days. Honestly, I'm out there every day right now.
But you're not getting huge amounts, but you're getting fresh berries every day.
I'm getting 2 handfuls.
Yeah.
Enough for us to
Enough
eat.
for us to enjoy, yeah.
But I'm also doing that in the morning before I go to work.
Exactly. And you want to make sure that the peacocks aren't enticed to go over there.
No, get them out before they notice. Yes. Because remember also, I mean, they're not going to ripen after you pick them.
No.
So, that's why I like to go through every day and just make sure that I'm collecting them as they're ripening up. I don't want to collect them early because I don't want to, pull any strawberries that haven't ripened yet.
Before we wrap up, maybe we let's just take a quick minute to talk about strawberries kind of like a lot of fruits and vegetables have kind of taken an active role in art and culture and symbolism over the centuries, would you say?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in European art, especially during the Renaissance, they were really, they symbolized purity, perfection, and even righteousness. And you'll sometimes see them in religious paintings growing low to the ground, representing humility.
And at the same time, because of their bright red color and this sweetness, strawberries have become to represent love and passion and abundance. And I think that's why we eat them around Valentine's Day with chocolate.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting how that one fruit could carry both meanings depending on the context.
exactly.
So it's kind of this like sensual fruit, but it also could be kind of purity and humility. So it's really kind of an interesting.
It is. And I think in medieval manuscript, in early botanical illustrations,
I love those. Yeah.
strawberries were commonly depicted or shown. There we
Uh-huh.
go. Because people were familiar with them, and because it was one of the earliest fruits that people gathered from the wild and cultivated.
Yeah, because you got to think back then, we live in a crazy abundant time with fruits and things that the access is unheard of. Back then, they very limited on the fruits, so that was
Yes.
one of the few fruits they could actually have. You know.
Yeah. And of course, I think everybody, loves strawberries. We've got strawberry festivals and strawberry U-pick
Well, I think
farms.
in the United States in particular, we kind of have like strawberries have a very seasonal and nostalgic role, kind of like apple. You know, we have apple festivals and strawberry. You know, but
Yes.
there's a whole like
Apples are more that springtime. I mean, strawberries are more that springtime, and
apples of
apples are
fall.
more that fall.
But
Yes.
like you said, the strawberry festivals, you pick farms,
Strawberry
and
birthday
of
cakes.
course the classic desserts like shortcake. That's your other favorite. Like you love strawberry shortcake, you love strawberry birthday cake.
The only time we're allowed to eat strawberry birthday cake is on my birthday. Any other time, it's strawberry shortcake.
You love that.
Yes.
And preserves. You made preserves before. That's fun.
Yeah, I do like to make strawberry preserves.
Those are
I
really
haven't had a
good.
chance to do that this year, but I'm hoping to very
It's
soon.
super easy and they're delicious.
Yes. I just think that wraps up strawberries because now I'm going to be thinking about strawberry shortcake, and I might have to go up and have a little dessert.
Before after I grill out, we're gonna have some strawberry shortcake.
I'm probably just going to do strawberries on top of my ice cream because I don't have any shortcake. I haven't made any yet. Although maybe I could do that while you're grilling the brats.
There you go.
So I
There's
think
a
that
quick little synopsis of strawberries.
yeah,
And kind of the history and the how to take care of them, and from wild foraging to European gardens and everything in between, and
yeah.
backyard patches here in Kentucky.
So yeah, I think we covered a lot. Hopefully, people will get excited about strawberries or get as excited as I am about strawberries. And you can plant some this fall for next spring. And you can have strawberries in your yard.
Thank you for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners. Please subscribe or follow to get new episode updates. And please help us get the word out about our new podcast by dropping a rating or review. If you have questions on landscape, gardening, or horticulture, please send them to gwtg@boonegardener.com. That's Gardening with the Gardeners, GWTG. And don't forget, Gardener has an I in it. Thank you so much. And
Thanks so much.
see you next time.
Yeah, see ya.